I know.
Again. He'll start you off.
Yeah, I'll play the melody.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, no.
Peter Stein.
Yeah.
Tempo.
Emza'acha. O God, where shall I find you? All hidden and exalted is your place. And where shall I not find you? Full of your glory is the infinite space. These words of Yehuda Halevi, the medieval Spanish philosopher and poet, greet us as we welcome this Shabbat Zimrah. Where shall we find God tonight? In the beautiful music that fills our sanctuary and our hearts, in the sacred connection we find in each other's presence, full of God's glory, full of God's light, and God's blessing is this wondrous space. Let us welcome Shabbat together with the kindling of the Shabbat lights. To invite our temple president for a total on page 10. Find the words of the 133rd Psalm as we join together in welcoming Shabbat by beginning and with the celebration of our joining together as a community with Hinei Matov. Page 13, 4 lines up from the bottom, Ya'aloz Sadai.
וכל אשר בו.
Page 20. We welcome Shabbat by joining together in L'Chadodi.
שמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתפילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה.
לקראת שבת לכו הנה לך, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה, תחילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת. Take a moment to greet someone near you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, welcome them into this space just as we welcome the Shabbat bride into our midst.
greeted each other, let's welcome the Shabbat angels into our midst with joining together in Shalom Aleichem on page 24.
As a part of my role as cantorial intern, I work with B'nai Mitzvah students to help them write their personal prayers. And one of the main things we talk about in our sessions is how we as Jews can think about God. The wonderful thing is, there's no one way that we Jews think about God. I'll often pull out a sheet of paper that is filled on both sides of the page with Jewish names for God. We have so many names because we have so many ways that we connect with God. But what I find in each of these sessions with the B'nai Mitzvah students is that we are all drawn to the names for God that reflect the attributes we most value in ourselves. One person may be drawn to call God the generous one, because generosity is a quality they love about themselves and they look for in others. Another person may call God my rock, because constancy and groundedness are what they hope to cultivate within themselves. As we move into the Baruch Hu, as we prepare to rise and pray as a collective, I invite you to consider, what attributes do you value within yourself? What qualities draw you to develop relationships with others? And how can these shape the way you conceptualize God? As we rise together for collective prayer on page 28, may we find all the qualities we love in ourselves reflected in God.
Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed is this moment now and every now to come. Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessing. Blessed is this moment now and every now to come. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. We're about to take a couple of lines from Psalm 51. So you can put your prayer books down, your cedarium down for a second. Just take a moment to examine what's in your own heart at this time. Psalm 51 talks about a lev tahor, a pure heart. And we ask God to create a pure heart within us. And I'm just going to suggest to you that whatever is inside of your heart right now, it is pure. And the way that God creates a pure heart within us, if we ask for that to be, is just for us to take a moment to look inside and see what's there. Whatever happens to be residing there is pure. It's the essence of what is. It's the essence of where you are right at this moment. When you came into this space, perhaps you were looking for something. Perhaps you came here for a specific reason this night. Maybe you're remembering somebody. Maybe you wanted connection with community. Maybe you're getting ready for your bar mitzvah. Wherever your heart was when you came into this space, we hope that it's brought you a different place by the time that you leave here. So let's just take 1 minute to notice what's inside our heart now. And I'll ask you when you leave this evening, maybe to take a moment as we're raising a glass together for Kiddush to examine what's in there and see if it's the same thing, but to notice that both times, whatever's inside of there, it is pure, is purely you and what you have to offer to God at this moment.
Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. And renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create
want you to take a moment now and clench your fists, your arms, your legs, your jaws. Tighten every muscle in your body, from your toes to your eyebrows. Tighten everything up. This is how I imagine Pharaoh in this week's portion. 6 times we are told, Yechazak Lev. His heart was hardened. His heart was tense. It was all clenched up. This is his response to Moses each time Moses enters to ask Pharaoh to let his people go. Jaw clenched, fist clenched, muscles tight, his heart constricted. And when we are tensed up, as you might still be right now, we are closed off, filled with tension and energy, ready to pounce or to defend ourselves. Our muscles tight, our breath shortened. We can't really see or hear. There is little room for reasoning. When our hearts and our minds are hardened, so too our souls. So if you haven't already, now relax everything. Let go. Feel the tension release, your muscles calm down, your chest open up. You can breathe. Your body expands along with your eyes and your mind and your heart. This is the physical state we are moved to when we say Shema. Shema. It's almost impossible to say those words all clenched up with our jaws tight. The very word forces you to breathe, to open up, to let go. Close your eyes and say it. Shema. Just saying the words opens our eyes and our hearts and our souls. It opens us up to possibilities and potential we cannot access, cannot imagine when we are filled with tension. Shema opens us up to a unity we can only hear and see and feel when we exhale with the word Shema. So I'm going to invite you tonight to breathe as you say these words, as we join together now in the Shema. On page 40, we turn to the song connected to this story, the song of freedom we sang at the shore of the sea as we realized our freedom and look forward to a time when all will enjoy that freedom. Join together in Micha Mocha. Page 42, Hashkivenu. Hasidic masters, Nachman of Bratslav, taught an important concept about prayer. For the Hasidim, it was not only about the prayers of the prayer book, but very much about their own personal, intimate connection to God. And so Nachman introduced the idea of something called hitbodedut. That is, time to be alone, secluded with God, with our own thoughts, our own prayers, our own chance to have our own personal connection to God, to the God, whoever that might be. Hatzur, the rock, Harachamim, the passionate, compassionate one, whoever that God is that we need to connect with. And so we turn now to the Amidah, the Tefillah, which in our prayer books begins on page 46 and concludes on page 63. And in a moment, we'll ask you to rise, and you may, of course, participate by yourselves quietly in the words of the prayer book, or take this as a moment of hitbodedut for the prayers and meditations of your own hearts. I invite you to now please rise, and when you are prepared to do so at the end of your own prayers, please feel free to be seated. The Israelites' quest for freedom begins in earnest this Shabbat. God instructs Moses and Aaron to deliver the Israelites from the land of Egypt. The first 7 plagues occur in this week's parashah, this week's Torah portion: blood, frogs, lice, insects, livestock disease, boils, and hail. In God's pre-plague instructions to Moses are verses of which you are likely most familiar, as they serve to provide structure for our Passover Seder. Promises of redemption, each one linked to one of the 4 cups of wine that we drink during the Seder. Say therefore to the Israelite people, we read, I am the Eternal. I will free you from the labors of the Egyptians. I will deliver you from their bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary chastisements. And I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God, and you shall know that I, the Eternal, am your God who freed you from the labors of the Egyptians. Our sages teach us that each of these promises reflects a stage in the journey from slavery to freedom, beginning with the first promise, a recognition of enslavement itself, continuing through the plagues to freedom at the sea and the giving of Torah finally at Sinai. But here's the thing: if you pay close attention, if you read the verses of our parashah, you'll notice that there aren't 4 promises. There are 5. 5. I will free you, deliver you, redeem you, take you, and bring you into the land. Bring you to the promised land. And the rabbis of the Talmud wonder and argue regarding this 5th promise. Is it a promise of redemption or not? After all, the first 4 were fulfilled. We recognized our slavery. There were plagues. We crossed the sea. We went to Sinai and received Torah. But what of the promised land? What of that promise? Was that promise fulfilled? Yes, indeed. We did get there and live there, but a devastating exile followed. So has the 5th promise been fulfilled? The sages asked. Have we reached the promised land? They asked. They couldn't come up with an answer. And so they said, we'll let Elijah decide. When Elijah comes and returns and heralds the messianic age, Elijah will decide. And so what do we do with that 5th cup? We set it aside for Elijah. That 5th cup stands on our Seder tables as a reminder that the final promise has yet to be fulfilled. Redemption is not yet complete. In 1963, at a conference on religion and race, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel pointed out that at the first conference on religion and race, the main participants were Pharaoh and Moses. Moses' words were, "Thus says the Eternal, the God of Israel, let my people go that they may celebrate a feast to me." The outcome of that summit, Rabbi Heschel said, the outcome of that summit meeting has not yet come to an end. Pharaoh is not yet ready to capitulate. The Exodus, Rabbi Heschel said, began, but is far from having been completed. At our Seder table, our personal Seder table in our home, as at many of yours, I might imagine, the 5th cup, Elijah's cup, remains empty until it is passed around the Seder table with each participant adding a little of their own wine to the cup in order to fill it up. That act is a recognition that we can't simply sit around and wait for Elijah to come, for Elijah to bring redemption, for the Messiah to appear. Rather, we must be the source of that redemption. Each one of us giving what we can from our own personal resources to create a world where all people are free, where we can all join together as we just did in singing Mi Chamocha. Not looking back to the time when we first sang it on the shore of the sea, but looking forward to a time when we will all be able to sing it together, a world in which the Exodus has been completed and we are all free. On that messianic day, our work, the work of liberation will be done. The answer to the question will have been determined as the fifth and final promise will have been resolved. I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give it to you for a possession. And in the freedom that we will celebrate together on that day, we will sing, and indeed, we will enjoy that fifth cup all together. Shabbat Shalom.
So, I think a lot of you know about the story of these talitot. If you take a look at the colors on Rabbi's and mine, you'll notice that they reflect the same colors and schemes as you see right behind us in the glass. The glass isn't as bright right now as it is during the daytime, but I had some words inscribed onto the atarot of all of them that I chose for each person who would be wearing them. So I'm going to read you mine. Mine says, "Da lecha shekol roreh v'roreh yesh lo nigun miuchad mishalo." Know that each and every shepherd has his own song, and know that each and every blade of grass has its own song. And from the song of the grasses, the tune of the shepherd is made. These are the words of Nachman of Breslov, who Rabbi Lutz was speaking about earlier. How beautiful and pleasant to hear their song. It's good to pray among the grasses and to serve the Holy One of blessing and joy. And from the song of the grasses, the heart is filled and yearns. And when the heart is filled by the song and yearns for Eretz Yisrael, that promise, maybe that promise yet to be, a great light is drawn forth and goes from the land's holiness toward it. And from the song of the grasses, the tune of the heart is made. These words of Rabbi Nachman were set to music by Naomi Shemer, the First Lady of Song of Israel. So take a moment to rest your soul, look into that pure heart, see what's there, and know that you have your own song as well, as we hear these words of Rabbi Nachman.
Now for a moment to those for whom the song of their heart may be muted at the moment as they suffer from illness of body or mind or spirit. We pray that they may find a refuah shlema as we get ready to join together in the words of Misha Berach, which you'll find on the top of your Shabbat Shalom pamphlet. On the back side, on the top of your Shabbat Shalom pamphlet. I would invite you to call out the names of those who you might be holding in your heart this Shabbat, those for whom you are praying for their healing. I invite you to call out their name as I look your way. You to turn to page 261. This coming week, we welcome a new month, the month of Shvat. So I invite you to join with me in the prayer that you'll find there in the middle of page 261. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, and prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Shavat Yihiyeh B'Yom Sheni. The new month of Shavat will begin on Monday. Turn to page 282. Let's join together there in the Aleinu. I ask that you please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Page 291, Hannah Senesh wrote, Yesh kochavim she'oram magia arza rak ka'asher heim atzmam avdu ve'enam. There are stars up above so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We turn our thoughts now to those whose lights continue to shine brightly in our lives. First, turning our thoughts to those who have died in recent days. If I call out the name of your loved ones, I would invite you to please rise as I call their name. We remember Dorothy Freed, Richard Cacciato, Dr. Michael Weiss, Silvio Horta, Adele Weinstein, and Rabbi Emily Feigenson. We remember as well those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their passing, is observed this Shabbat. And again, invite you to please rise as I call the name of your loved ones. Joan Becker, Deborah Bronner, Rhoda Dane, Estelle Ellison, Adele Fink, Sidney Galper, Solomon Goldfarb, Herman Greenschlag, Charles Gross, Evelyn Guggenheim, Edith Guggenheim, J. Lewis Harvey, Dorothy Hommel, Harry Honigsberg, Bertha Hyman, Olive Katz, Mary Kraut, Sarah Kraut, Adele LaBelle, Myra Livingston, Joseph Lowitz, Alvin Malkin, Sophie Margolin, Becky Miner, Seymour Miller, Lillian Charlotte Miller, Sonia Nadich, Abraham Rosenwasser, Ben Steinman, Leonid Stoliarsky, Susan Abrams Tiano, Rose Topas, and Anna Weisenberg. If you are in the period of Shana for a loved one of your own and have yet to hear their name called, I would invite you to also please rise at this time and share their name with us. We say Zichronam Livracha. May the memory of our loved ones be always a source of love and blessing. And now, in support of the mourners among us and in remembrance of all who have left none, we rise together as a community. On page 294, we join together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chaye echon v'yom echon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ul'amei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekutsha b'richu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all the bereaved among us. And we say, amen. Please be seated. On page 333. I think it's at the bottom of the page, I believe, without looking.
Yeah, the very bottom.
The very bottom of the page. Yah Ribon.
Ya Ribon Olam,
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This was so much fun. We're going to invite you to turn back to page 4. We're going to start all over again. No, actually, we're going to join together in Kiddush on page 4. You got it. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techilah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
L'chaim.
Just before we join together in Motzi, on the inside of your Shabbat Shalom, a list of things that are happening over the next few weeks. We hope you will take it with you. Would you like to say a word about what you're doing Sunday morning?
Sure.
Which is listed here?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
10:30. Directly following Chevra Torah. At 10:30, I will be teaching a course about gender in Judaism. And we will look at all of the gender expansiveness that exists in our traditional Jewish text and in Jewish practice today. And I invite you to please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzi lechem min haaretz Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's more out in Siegel Hall for all of you.